Is this weather perfect or what?
A young adult Christian has recently left the shores of Asteria with his companions Doggy the Wall Crusher and Dr. Flare. Their destination? Salsetta. But as they pass through the Abelia Gulf, they are attacked by pirates and find themselves instead at the harbor town of Karnak. This is where the adventures of Adol the Red begins. I am High Spirits, and this is my wee view of East 10 Nordics. I'd like to thank NIS America and Nihon for a copy of this game and giving me the opportunity to play and review East 10 Nordics. This is my first review video, so let's just get into what this game is about and talk about what I think about it. I'll be showcasing the PC Steam version. East 10 takes place in the northern islands collectively known as the Abelia Gulf. Adol and his friends are on their way to Salsetta when their ship is attacked by a group of seafaring people known as the Normans. I'll let you fill in the blanks here. This is Adol and ships we're talking about. Anyways, Adol finds himself stranded in the harbor town of Karnak. Here he partners up with the Norman warrior Karja, where they find themselves bound by fate and the power known as mana. They must search for a way to undo the mystical ties that bind them and deal with the mysterious and seemingly immortal Grieger threat that looms. The story was really good, and there's a lot of it. You get really invested in not just Adol and Karja, but the whole cast of friends you meet along the way. There's some great touching scenes and feel-good moments that leave you feeling pretty satisfied. The voice acting is superb with their delivery, even Adol the mostly silent, and fit the characters well. I don't think it's the best story I've seen in the East franchise, but I feel like Lacrimosa of Dana's story was just fabulous. East 10 also takes place early in Adol's adventures, which helps new players to the series not feel bogged down by a lot of inside jokes or characters from the previous games.
So take your punishment like men!
Exploration takes place on two different fronts, by islands and by sea. The islands come in a handful of varieties and settings and are beautiful and vibrant most of the time. The game includes several forms of movement that help you traverse these areas. Early on, you'll be introduced to the mana string that lets you swing over gaps and over other obstacles. The Gillian board will let you mana ride across swamps and speed through ramps and other puzzles you'll find. As you progress the story, you'll find more ways to explore. One of the new exciting features of East 10 is the ability to sail across the whole of Abelia Gulf. This area is quite large with a lot of sites and islands to explore. The ship will become quite customizable and take up a large portion of your playthrough. When you include both sea and land, there's just a lot to see and explore and a lot of treasure to find. And with this being an East game, you know there's percentages you need to max when it comes to your exploration, so get out there and look for all this stuff. At times, you'll also find yourself being chased. As much as Adol loves to explore, things do love chasing after him while he does. Some of these chase scenes are really cool and almost cinematic. They add a nice change of pace to the story. If we're going to talk about East, then we need to talk about the combat. East 10 utilizes the same style of fast-paced action combat as the last few releases, although sadly not the bump combat we all came to love earlier. And with some twists of its own. You can choose to control either Adol or Karja as your main characters, each with their own elements and strengths, or combine their efforts together simultaneously in duo mode, which adds even more options to the system. Now, outside of using the abilities that you get, there's also an expansive system known as the Line Depth system that lets you add a lot of customization to your character's stats and skills through the use of what's called mana seeds. They're everywhere, there's a lot of ways to get them, and it really lets you fine-tune and build your character in any way that you want to. Combat was really fast and a lot of fun. It took a while for me to warm myself up to both styles, but once I was comfortable with the system, I was using it to my full advantage. You can learn skills through either just using your abilities like other East games, or finding tomes through different various means. The duo mode is a fun addition to the game, but I found it took a lot of the challenge out, if used way too often. The duo mode takes time to really figure it out, and once you do, it's a nice alternative to just attacking with one character or the other. Overall, I really enjoyed combat, and I found myself spending more time fine-tuning my characters instead of figuring out how I wanted to build a party with a larger cast from the previous games. With the introduction of ships, there comes ship combat, of course. Enemy ships are everywhere, and you can fight them whenever you want. If you don't want to, they're easy to avoid most of the time. The combat will start out very simple and slow, and not feel very good. But eventually, you'll have a whole lot of options, and at times, it almost feels like it's another form of action combat with how fast things will be going. The music in Ys 10 really stood out to me. I loved so many of the tracks, from the serious and the serene, to the upbeat and high energy. The music really resonated with me for some reason. Maybe to me the songs just really fit the Nordic theme the game was focused on. Some of these tracks were so memorable that I'm still humming them to this day quite often. Looking back on my playthrough of Ys 10 Nordics, I can comfortably say this was one of my favorite games in the series. The combat will feel familiar for the most part, but throws in a handful of new quirks that you don't find in other games. Exploration was fun without any frustrations, but I feel like it could have had a little bit more variety. And the story is engaging, emotional, and I loved the characters. Overall, I give this game a wonderful score of 87 out of 100. Thank you for watching. I am High Spirits, and this was my wee view of Ys 10 Nordics.